Welcome, one and all, to the 2002 digital...
Oh my god.
2002 Digital Nitrate. Halloween special. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'm your host, Chandler, and with me here is my co-host, Joel.
Hello, lovely to be here finally.
You've been here the past 4 episodes, though.
I think I'd remember that. It's Halloween, finally. Today is Halloween Day.
Yes, as you can tell by the day that this is released, today is obviously Halloween. So tell me, Joel, what does Halloween mean to you?
Halloween means fear, horror, scares, bears? Not bears.
No bears.
Werewolves. They're like bears. It means skeletons, it means ghosts, and it means the internet.
Right. So basically the British government.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Collapsing as we speak.
Yeah. So it's your patriotic duty as a Brit to consume this scary content, I guess you could say.
And what do we have if not 3 completely scary, spooky movies? I'm terrified already. Nothing scarier than growing up in 2005. You know, we had the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yep. Cold War.
The World War.
Kennedy.
Both Kennedys assassinated in 1 year.
Same bullet.
Yeah. He was sat in the front seat. Very
efficient. Yeah, 2005 was crazy. I mean... Tell me, Joel, speaking of 2005 early internet, were you big into creepypastas?
Not really. I read Jeff the Killer, but... Right,
I wasn't too big into them too, I consumed them because I was on the internet during that time, but I was a big baby. I could never really get into that.
So let's talk about some fucking Halloween movies, unlike the last 2 weeks where we talked about Halloween movies.
It's fine.
Oh my god.
Delicious.
You gotta swallow before you talk.
Mama never told me that one.
That old devil Hooch has turned her into the unsightly person you see before you.
Alright. What do you wanna watch? I mean, so many options. I mean, we have Paramount Plus, NBC Plus, Universal Plus, Disney Plus, Discovery Plus, YouTube Plus. We even got Best Buy Plus, Walmart Plus,
General Mills Plus.
We got Blizzard Entertainment Plus,
Nintendo Plus,
Razer Plus. It's just videos of keyboards.
Costco Plus,
Samsung TV Plus,
Casio Plus, Pop Vinyl Plus.
Looks like they have We're All Going to the World's Fair Plus. You wanna check that out?
Is it a channel that only shows footage from a World Fair?
Nope. Looks like it's just the 2021 film We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Now, Chandler.
Huh?
The 2022 film.
The 2022 film. What?
That's such a sad what? What?
I like this film though. Let's watch We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Is this part of the MCU?
Yeah, if MCU stands for Michael J. Rogers Cinematic Universe.
Michael J. Fox is in this?
So, you want to join the internet's scariest online horror game?
Jane Schoenbrunn yearns for the past with We're All Going to the World's Fair, a film exponentially more appealing to the creepypasta crowd than Slender Man ever was. Casey uploads videos to the internet, but the film is about coming of age whilst being raised by the internet. But the internet can be a scary place, and strangers can easily exploit you on the internet. It's like Fast Times, but for naughties kids who never left the house.
Who are you talking to?
So Chandler, we just watched World's Fair 2 minutes ago.
We just finished it.
What a film. What a boring time.
Hey, that's not nice.
It's not.
I like this film.
I don't really.
I think I know that we know a few people who are sort of in the in the camp that does not like this film. What's wrong? What's got you down?
So, this film appeals to me, basically. I am the target audience for World's Fair.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who was raised on the internet, as someone who's watched all these spooky, scary little YouTube videos, looked at all these spooky, scary challenges, talked to people way older than me.
Yep.
And I don't really get any of that out of this film. It feels very, like, superficial. It feels like it has one point, and it's just hammering that point over and over again. And I'm just like, I don't really get much out of it. That's my deal with it.
You know, that's fair. It definitely struggles to sort of get out of its bubble that it's made. And it's a very strange one because it is a film about that time period, the early aughts, but also with sort of a slight lean on modern times and sort of the effects that the internet has had on both of those. And I feel like this film is very inspired by slower cinema, hypnotic cinema, and if you aren't sort of taken by that, I can see how it can definitely not hit the same way.
It's not like I have a problem with, well, I do have a problem with slow cinema. Notoriously so. I'm more inclined to go for a faster paced film. I'm not gonna deny that. But if a film needs to be slow to sort of like build its atmosphere and also push its story, like obviously this isn't gonna be a fast moving subject being like groomed online. It's not something that happens like instantly, but like I'm not even sure that the film's about being groomed online, because that kind of sort of just happens but doesn't sort of weave into everything else that the film is showing me. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if it's necessarily about grooming so much as it is about the strange place that the internet has in our lives and the people on the internet and what they have in our lives.
Grooming's like definitely a part of it. It definitely
it's part of it, yeah.
Takes out a big chunk of time to establish this guy that's sort of pushed for her to contact him.
Right. And yeah, it's definitely a very, very thin line, and that was always sort of a thing with learning about internet safety back then too, is that like you know, it's very hard to tell what people's intentions are online. And Michael J. Rogers' character, JLB, who I always want to call JBL, JLB does in fact seem to have nothing but like good intentions. He's interested in creepypastas, he's interested in this game, but he obviously doesn't quite understand the extent to how he's affecting Casey.
And I think that's kind of supposed to be sort of the end point of that short little arc, is that people you're talking to online have that layer of anonymity, so you aren't able to have a very appropriate relationship with them because you don't know what you need to know about them. Right. But again, it's just sort of like, I don't remember the film like note for note, but I remember that being like not very much of the screenplay is dedicated to that. He's introduced like halfway through-ish, maybe?
I think about like 20 to 30 minutes in, he's starting to come into play.
But I feel like the meat of the film is like the scenes in the attic where she's talking to her computer. Casey, I remembered her name, I think. She's talking to her computer and she's uploading these videos, and I get why that's the meat of the film, is because that's the cheapest and easiest stuff to shoot, definitely. And this is a like very, very low budget, very independent production. But overall, like, it's not got much to say, and it's just sort of repeating the same thing with those scenes.
I feel like what's going to happen with us talking here is that we're going to say the same thing, but one of us is going to say, and that was bad, and the other person, being me, is going to say that was good. I think that, and I totally see how this is very much a film that is either going to, you know, get you into it, or you're not going to be into it. I get that.
Tim, pick up. Don't watch the video, it's getting stronger.
Well, if you want to sort of change the pace a bit, I did want to ask you about the trans allegories that everyone is talking about, because maybe it's just me, but I don't quite get it.
I also don't really see it. It's not a main one. Like, I feel like it's not one big trans allegory, although I think a lot of it more so is about discovering yourself. And in this case, it's sort of discovering yourself against the backdrop of the internet, which is obviously very turbulent.
I kind of think that sort of plays into it a bit because, and this is like the weirdest stereotype, but a lot of trans people grew up on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's like sort of the biggest connection is that we've all kind of had a very similar life to this, those of us born like post 1990. But that's sort of like the only real connection I get out of it. Like, I don't really get much else.
Another big theme is change. You know, what JLB and Casey, what they mention a lot with the game We're All Going to the World's Fair is how it changes you. I think that's another thing too, sort of the changes that you have, especially for somebody like Casey who's in that, you know, teenage range, and maybe it does sort of border on the, you know, gender identity and trans allegory in some way, but definitely it wasn't a major in your face thing. I will sort of put, you know, to wrap it up, say that it's there in the lightest essence, but in no way is We're All Going to the World's Fair about transness, more so as it is about coming of age and discovering yourself and changing that way.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and like having it explained to me, I'm happy to like see that there is something you can discuss as a trans allegory. But I have just like, since I watched it, like when it came out, I've just thought like it's a solid coming of age film that doesn't have much to say about coming of age, because those of us who grew up on the internet sort of all had a stunted growth. We didn't go out and join the parade and sing whatever fucking song Ferris Bueller sings.
I want to talk about what I like, okay?
You bratty bitch, okay?
It's not all about you, Joel.
It's sometimes it
Fucker.
is, but
I like the slowness and how that sort of relates not just to us, the targeted audience, but also to a non-audience, the sort of experience of the internet back then, and how you sort of fall into that. I think of the midpoint where there is the long string of YouTube videos that autoplay, but they take up the whole entire screen, right? So it's this very meditative experience, but also sort of creates an uncomfortable feeling in, you know, the algorithm, what it's giving you, how it's giving it to you, and how it is a sort of case where you get sucked in and suddenly, you know, a couple videos turns into, you know, multiple hours, and you know, you've been sucked into this one thing, this one algorithm, this one pipeline.
it can create that really good atmosphere about like monotonously going through video to video and letting them like affect you and not even thinking about them. That it's undeniable that like the atmosphere of this film is like unbroken. It is impeccable. It feels like it wants to feel. I kind of just think the slowness of it is a little bit detrimental because it doesn't make that good of a film, really. Like, watching YouTube videos, it's something that we've all done, but I don't think it should be recorded and put out onto the internet. I guess I'm just, like, shooting at reaction content creators.
That's fair.
Some good wine.
Yeah, Johnny really knows what to do, what to get. Another thing I liked the silly little barn where she had the cool little hangout with the projector.
That was nice.
I would hang out in there so much.
Who doesn't want to have like a hidden little hidey hole where you can hang out?
And it's a place where you're not totally supposed to hang out, but it is set up to hang out, and like you can sleep out there. You can have your gun. Yeah, it was really cool. And that was the one scene that actually like scared me actively. Was when the autoplay played that video that JLB made for Casey.
This the spooky like Lake Mungo face video.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's a really scary thing that's happened to me in a way. I think it happened again to all of us, where it's like, you know, people on the internet have ways to affect you and scare you deeper down than people that you know in real life or things that are surrounding you in real life.
It's that anonymity. You don't know who's scaring you.
Right, but they also take like a very deep and directed interest and target at you, right, in the sea of an infinite amount of people and content and ideas. You know, picking out you is a very scary thing, at least to me.
I don't know. I don't want to be like horror asshole where I'm like, oh, it didn't scare me. Oh, nothing scares me anymore. But it's kind of like, you know, like Mulholland Drive. Everyone says it's the scariest scene put to cinema when they're in the diner. Mm-hmm. And they go around the back, and this guy in like grease paint jumps out and scares him to death. And everyone's like, it's the scariest scene put to cinema. I just don't get it. It's quite quirky. It's quite funny. I think David Lynch is a very funny man, and I think loads of people take him too seriously sometimes.
Yeah, I think that all of his films are comedies.
He very much, like, he has this very, like, dry sense of humor that goes over a lot of people's heads. But we'll save that for the David Lynch video.
Bullshit!
And there are the lockers. And there are the desks. And that's the vice principal's office. Watch out.
Speaking of, we're all going to the World's Fair.
Yes.
Do you ever watch Marble Hornets?
No, I didn't. A lot of people have told me to.
I was too scared to when it was a thing. When the Slender Man was a thing.
I kind of like, I caught the early end of creepypastas. I caught like Jeff the Killer, Slender Man, all this early stuff, and then as soon as people started to make good content, I had moved on to like what I would consider the older people genre of internet horror. So I missed like Marble Hornets, I missed a lot of the like classic scary ARGs. I missed a lot of that because I was too cool for school.
Right. Were you ever into SCP?
Not really, no.
I was.
I
into
played
SCP
the game, the one game.
Yeah.
But it just never really got into my circle.
That's fair.
I botched that so hard. You'll have to remind me of the conclusion of World's Fair, because I'm not sure I remember it. Even though we just watched it 2 minutes ago, yeah.
Yes, we did.
But I don't remember the ending already.
Yeah, I do kind of like the resolve of it all with the ending where JLB sort of goes a bit over the line with Casey. Casey sort of gets fed up, and you know, after starting to feel greater amounts of depression, you know, contacts JLB, and JLB, you know, tries to console her, you know, mention that's just a game, this and that, and they sort of break off. You know, she tells him never to contact her again, and there's this really, really beautiful, not quite one shot, but it's sort of this one big continuous flow of him, like, you know, concerned and sad. And I've definitely had moments of like that with people, with online acquaintances that I've had. But then we flash forward an indiscriminate amount of time, sometime in the future, and JLB delivers his monologue about meeting Casey, talking things out, sort of tying up loose ends and things like that. The kind of interesting thing about that is that we don't really know if that's true.
I had it in my head that he killed himself, and I don't know where I got that from.
He definitely didn't, because he delivers the final line of the film. So,
I must be confusing it for a different film. Maybe I'm confusing it for like Fear.com. Can you imagine?
but yeah, we're not actually sure. You know, Casey may have killed herself. She may not have. And they may have met in New York, and they may not have. It's sort of. I
think I was mostly just distracted by the fact that JLB's played by the guy from Beyond the Black Rainbow. It's like a completely different film.
I was mostly distracted by how much warm milk he drank.
That would have made a lot of sense in like in Beyond the Black Rainbow. He plays like a maybe robot. It's like a 70s sci-fi pastiche. That's my recommendation to watch, Beyond the Black Rainbow. It's a great film. World's Fair is for thinkers, Black Rainbow is for freaks.
Yeah, so I mean, I've certainly cooled off a lot in this film. I think that there's praise to be had for it. I think that I've also recognized some of the things that people have said that are against it. And, you know, I've come to a consensus in the middle. Sorry, centrists. I think that more so out of anything, I think I'm coming out of it now, more so just excited for what Jane has in store later, you know. I know that they have a new film with A24 coming out soon. And, yeah, it's certainly not a failure. It's certainly maybe not the best. It's their first major film, you know, so it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to blow everything out of the water, but...
I think I'm just excited to see what this director can do with a little more experience.
Yeah.
Because I think World's Fair had its issues that held it back too much. And those issues were definitely like feature-length films are difficult to write because you need to have just the right amount of things for it to not get boring. And I think World's Fair would have been a great short, but was just made into a feature-length film that was like way too long and had a lot of filler.
And where do you see filler? I see sort of interesting meditative slow cinema, but you know what? On this Halloween, let's shake hands and find common ground.
Don't touch me.
Oh.
So, you have the TV remote. Why not hit the random button and see what it spits up?
Oh my god. I've never seen anybody do something with their body like that before. Have you ever seen that before?
I have, yeah. I shot this film.
It's really nice cinematography.
Thank you. Hit it again. Hit it.
Yeah,
let's not watch this one.
Yeah, there's gotta be something else here.
Raimi Plus.
Ooh. What we got here? We'll come back to that later.
It's like a Harryhausen.
Oh, shoot. Cure. Koji Yakusho, aka the most handsome man ever to exist ever, plays Takabe, a beat detective on the case of an interesting string of murders. Everywhere he goes, he seems to find victims with X's carved into their chests and perpetrators who seemingly don't know how they got there. What these all have in common is a young man named Mamiya who uses the powers of mesmerism to make them do bad things. Can Takabe overcome the pressures from Mamiya, from the void? Can he stand up to his stupid co-workers? Can he be human after all?
Like the Daft Punk album.
That would have been a really nice cameo for this film. I don't know, what'd you think, Joel?
I love Cure. What a movie. What a picture. What a talkie.
Now that's a fine motion picture right there.
Oh, this bottle's already nearly done.
Oh god.
Cure. Something I hadn't seen in a long time. Even though it's Kiyoshi Kurosawa, so everyone says, you gotta watch Kiyoshi Kurosawa, he makes incredible films.
He's the horror guy.
He does, he makes incredible films, but the only Kurosawa I'd seen up until this point was Wife of a Spy, which came out last year, played the festival, watched it. Not a good film.
Not the best Kurosawa to jump into and like get his style.
And then Cure comes up, and I watch Cure, and goddamn, what a director.
This is definitely And mind you, I haven't seen Pulse yet. I'm sorry, but I've seen a lot of his other stuff. I think that this is his best expression, though, at least from what I can tell so far. It encompasses his creepy factor, not the film Creepy. That film is not great. Don't watch that one. It encompasses his creepiness, and also like his unease. You know, a lot of the horror tension comes from societal strings. You know, sort of the horrors that lurk in our houses, in our backyards, in our cities and towns. And I think that makes it a much more effective horror film.
He's also just like cinematically not afraid to just hold on something. I think you compare this to something like The Conjuring, where everything's so like fast paced and trying its best to keep you like scared. But Kurosawa like understands the importance of letting a scene play, and that itself builds tension, which is important for a scare, that the audience is tense. No like jump scares that I can remember at all.
Yeah, there may be one or two, but they're very hard to describe as jump scares. They're more intense sequences, I'd say.
If they're jump scares, they're definitely like well-earned jump scares, though.
It's not back-to-back jump scares, just always catching you off guard, you know.
This builds like a genuine tone of fear. It doesn't just like throw shit at you and make you jump every 10 seconds.
I wanted to, because I talked about this film before on another podcast. And in that
working boy,
we had a discussion because a lot of outlets that I've either read or listened to about this struggle to call this film a horror film. You know, they say, oh, it's more like a thriller. It's more like a suspense film. I mean, what's your take on that? Do you think that those guys are a bunch of fucking idiots?
Was it Joe Bob who said thriller is horror for people who don't like horror?
Yeah.
Thriller is horror for people who are afraid to admit that horror can be good.
That they watched a horror film. Like, they see Cure because, oh, it recently got like a Criterion release, so it's like, oh, it's in the Criterion collection. Oh, it's like a fancy art film. Ooh, but maybe it's a horror film. I can't let people know I just watched one of those.
This like scummy little genre full of freaks making gore effects. I can't be seen watching horrors.
I watched crime thriller movies.
It's a thriller. It's a horror. It's 100% a horror film. That's the point.
This is a fucking horror film. Shut the fuck up.
And it's like, the debate is a lot less of an argument than the debate that, what is it? Fuck. I usually remember every John Waters film. Female Trouble. The debate that Female Trouble is a horror film, that's a lot more of a debate. Cure is like, it's not even a discussion. Like, it's a horror film. Like, it's got the same cinematography as a horror film. The script is structured like a horror film. Everything is acted like a horror film. It's lit darkly, spookily. Like, its DNA is like interwoven with horror. And I think anyone that tries to argue that it's not horror is just afraid to admit that a horror film can be one of the best films ever made. Yeah,
I mean, we definitely have to talk about how there is a stigma with horror in the cinematic world where it's sort of seen as like the redheaded stepchild. It is underneath all other genres of film, all other types of film. And not that the Oscars would ever even nominate a horror film, let alone give it an award. I feel like it would, if they did, it would sort of be like a best picture and then like a best horror picture. You know, yeah. They would never see it in the same light as something like a Stinky Bergman film.
So many like backhanded compliments for horror as well, where people say, oh, it's good for a horror film. I think people are just afraid to admit that horror can be like such a thought-provoking, emotionally rich genre because it's got this undertone of like sleaze.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with sleaze in the first place. You know me, I'll go to bat for sleaze any day of the week. But long story short, Cure is a horror film.
There you go.
And it's a terrifying one at that. It's scary as shit.
It scared me, a lot more than, something like Halloween or Trick or Treat, because it felt like the threat was real, especially when you look at our protagonist. He's obviously smarter than everybody else. He's a great detective. He's great to his wife. He's a great person. But at the same time, he's flawed. He's struggling and he's breaking. And he looks like us. He looks like the everyman that's just working their job, or the everyman that's, trying to support their family. And this younger, more educated influence comes in the shape of Mamiya, and that's scary.
Yeah,
that's scary. Something, in a way, Michael Myers can be defeated. Once enough people scream evil dies tonight, he will eventually pass away. But Mamiya, he isn't the evil here. He is just the manifestation of evil. He is a line of mesmerism that goes back to its creation, and it has been affecting society for hundreds of years, still affects it today, as in the contemporary 1997 today, and obviously continues on. The ending is the biggest showing of that.
But now it needs to die.
It's kind of thematically like one of the things I got out of the film is this like fear of the new, because it's obviously, I don't want to call him old, but he's an older man, our protagonist, and very, very pointedly, the villain of the film is this young guy bringing this new idea of mesmerism to the world.
But also interesting is that, it's old too. More so, but the way that old things can become new, and how
I say new
in
like the biggest quotation marks possible.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's a way of how old things become new, how old evils come back, how history repeats itself.
But it's sort of like he's afraid of this like younger guy.
Yes.
Who's really shaking things up for him.
And is stumping everybody.
There's sort of that point in life that you reach where you're like, oh, people who are younger than me are finally better than me. It's my time. My time's up.
And Mamiya stumps the whole force too. Like, he stumps everybody. And the only thing that stops him is, Takabe finally cracking, finally going under and stooping to that level and killing him. Which also, can we talk about how great the killing of Mamiya is? It's just so straightforward. There's no like dramatic cut. You see him like clutching his chest. He's like, how could you do this to me? You were my brother.
It's just very matter of fact. Which
he walks up behind him.
Something scary is being able to believe that it's happening.
Great death scene. And it's really just a case of him breaking, because that's the scary thing about this film's finale, is that like maybe there is no way around it. Maybe there is no way for love to live today.
Sometimes the answer is extreme violence.
Sometimes it's being thrown in an industrial meat grinder.
Sometimes you just have to let evil die tonight.
I've been making all these Halloween Ends references because I wanted to let out the cursed thought that I have, that like Cure has a lot of DNA shared with Halloween Ends.
I think you mean Halloween Ends has a lot of DNA shared with every good film of the last 20 years.
But in the sense of Cure, I mean like how evil is passed on. And I don't like the thought, but it's there.
I mean, maybe it's intentional. We can't say otherwise. It could be.
Maybe Gordon Levitt Green's a big Kiyoshi Kurosawa stan. We don't know.
He's already said things like, what, Twin Peaks, Christine, Near Dark, Lost Boys, all these films are like inspirations on him. Cure could be an inspiration on Halloween Ends. Like the motorcycle scene that's ripped straight out of Cure.
another scene I want to shout out. I shouted out in that other podcast too, but I just need to always, whenever I have a chance to sing the praise of this scene, I have to, because if you're a filmmaker, you have to study this scene, I think. Or at least it's very helpful to study this scene. And that's when the older cop shoots the younger cop. Okay? And that's the scene where the film sort of proved itself to me. The older cop walks out, and he walks past a sign that says, "End gun violence," or something along that line. And you're sitting there, and you're looking at the sign, and you're looking at the cop, and you're looking at the context behind all of it, and you're like, he's gonna shoot the other cop, isn't he? And he does. And that's when you're like, oh, I get it now. Like, Kiyoshi Kurosawa knows what he's doing. And it's such a fantastic scene at the perfect time in the film too, like slightly before halfway point, slightly before we know everything about Mamiya, before we know everything about Takabe. That's the scene where it really reveals itself to you. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
The whole film sort of has this slow build. Back on the subject of slow builds.
Uh-oh.
This one works so well
a
because
lot
you've got
better, yeah.
a little bit of like, what's Takabe up to? What's he doing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh look, this horrific thing has just happened.
It's
Who's this guy that's talking to them? What's he talking about? Oh, oh, this is it's kind of like I think maybe of like Seven. It's a more subtle version of Seven by David Fincher.
That's always a big.
Where it's this is sort of like slow build to like, oh, these are the horrible things that are happening. So that when you finally get that sort of meeting between the protagonist and the antagonist, you have the context you need for it to be like a big moment in the script.
Seven is definitely the film that's always referenced with this one. That's very true. In fact, it's referenced in one of my favorite video essays, Cure, or How to Be Happy While Saving the Species, which basically, like, if you don't watch that video essay, because literally everything I say about Cure is just ripped straight from that, so please don't get me caught and sent to copyright jail. But it's a great video essay and really helps push the point home.
I didn't watch that essay, I'll be honest. I just pulled that Seven connection straight out of my ass.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
So I'm proud to say that maybe I am good at analyzing film sometimes.
There may be something in you yet, buddy.
I finished the bottle of wine.
Let me sip a little bit more of this Cabernet Sauvignon.
What do you want? Glass 2? Glass 1 still?
I'm still sipping glass 2. I just can't.
Glass 2? Come on.
I can't drink. I'm a little baby.
I'm at the point where I shift in my chair and I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna need you to catch up, buddy.
Oh god. Okay. I mean, this is Johnny's wine, so I see no reason why I have to savor this.
This is dedicated to Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Yep. Here's.
Thank you for Cure.
Cheers.
What a film.
Kiyoshi Kurosawa. This one's for you, buddy.
Please take back Wife of a Spy. I forgive you. We can't all just do nothing but bangers.
Also make Tampopo 2.
He didn't even make Tampopo 1.
You don't need the same director.
You can get a different guy. It's like Halloween, and Halloween ends.
Tampopo kills. Goro is back. It's been 40 years.
It's been 40 years.
40 years ago.
And he comes back to Tampopo's ramen shop. That's the first thing that Tampopo says when Goro walks through the doors. It's been 40 years, Goro.
The Tampopo's noodle shop has been like infested by evil. Everyone who comes in is like fucking shot in the head.
Yeah, people have stopped going, and now Goro has to like refix her shop again, putting together like a silly team to save it.
Noodles boil tonight.
Yeah, Sutsumo Yamazaki is still alive, so I say we
Let's do it.
let's get things done.
Tampopo kills.
Tampopo kills.
Tampopo has to kill is the thing.
She must kill to better her ramen arts.
I know Ken Watanabe is available, so
We can pull him too. Yeah.
do we have more to say about Cure?
Rest in peace, Juzo Atami.
Oh my god, I should not have moved. Oh.
That old devil Hooch has turned her into the unsightly person you see before you.
So, Cure, it's a fantastic film. It's a fantastic horror film. It's a fantastic crime film. And it just cracks into every little hole that we have in our subconscious that scares us, that worries us. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. The acting is all fantastic. Shout out to shoot the woman who plays the wife. Hold on.
The wife of a spy.
Anna Nakagawa. Okay. She doesn't have that many roles, unfortunately, after this, which is sad, but
She was in
hire her.
Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. What more could you want?
I guess that is sort of all you really need. But yeah, Hollywood, hire her. I command you.
Cure is an excellent film, and I know everyone has told you to watch Cure, and I know that at this point you're getting frustrated of people telling you to watch Cure.
It's because you should watch it.
Cure. I know that the next thing on your list of films to watch is you want to go through the Child's Play series, but just give it a day.
That can wait.
Save those for Wednesday. Watch Cure tonight. You'll get it. You'll understand. It's one of the best horror films ever made.
Yeah, stop wasting your time.
Like, what more could you want? No one needs to watch Curse of Chucky again. It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
No one needs to watch 7 again. You understood it the first time. I love 7. I don't know why I've been slagging it off so much. I think it's an excellent
It's not
film.
bad, but
It's a great film. It's really well constructed, and it is one of David Fincher's best. Way better than Zodiac. That's a discussion for another day. My hatred of Zodiac.
I gotta write down the David Fincher episode.
Oh god, the David Fincher episode. Do you know how many people have said that The Social Network is like the best film ever made?
So many people knob slob The Social Network. It's amazing.
It's a great film, but like there are so many better films. I want to know what it is about The Social Network that makes it considered like best film ever made material.
Right.
It's a good film. Just like Cure. Watch Cure.
Go watch. Who are we talking to?
The TV.
It does listen to me. Hey, TV. Pull up Raimi Plus.
Raimi Plus. Let's see what's on.
What we got here?
It's an hour into Army of Darkness now.
It's already started?
It's been on for ages.
Well...
That's fine. Just go to Raimi Plus 1. It'll be an hour
here we go.
behind, so...
Ah, perfect. Johnny must have a massive streaming bill.
$20,000 I went through his mail.
That's kind of you. All of his bounce checks and yeah, Johnny's not in a good place right now. Army of Darkness is starting though.
Army of Darkness, baby. Let's settle in.
I hope this is your last drink.
It's the last drink I have on me.
Oh god. I guess we're all lucky for that.
What it got was him.
Groovy.
After the marginal success of Darkman, Sam Raimi finally gets the chance to make the Evil Dead movie he always wanted to make. Medieval Dead. Bruce Campbell returns to give the best Three Stooges tribute performance of all time, and Ted Raimi plays as many characters as possible until the lawyers start to ask questions. With Raimi's signature style of camera work capturing the largest amount of skeletons ever put to screen, what more could you ask for this Halloween? Chandler,
Yeah.
I showed you one of my favorite movies, Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2,
Sure.
but it's an incredible film.
Bruce Campbell is a sex god.
Bruce Campbell is one of the most underrated actors of all time.
Bruce Campbell can do whatever he wants to me.
Bruce Campbell is worth more to me than the entirety of the UK and the US put together.
Yeah, I would give up my sovereignty for the safety and well-being of Bruce Campbell.
What a guy. We're talking about Bruce Campbell versus the Army of Darkness.
That's basically what it is.
Well, the intro title is correct. The only reason you're here is to watch Bruce Campbell fight skeletons.
Yeah, it is funny. It is Bruce Campbell versus the Army of Darkness. That is technically the title.
By God, does he fight skeletons? He fights them. He fights them on the beaches.
He fights them on the shores. How's that speech go? I don't know. Anyways.
Who remembers Churchill speeches nowadays?
Mostly just Nazis, but just really weird when you think about it.
Evil Dead.
Army of Darkness. Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness.
Let's start at Evil Dead. Let's fucking talk about
let's
Evil
reel it
Dead
back
for
a bit.
like 2 minutes.
A minute.
Indulge me.
Yes. It is a very quirky, low budget, little cabin horror.
Sam Raimi makes Evil Dead 1981?
Sure.
It is like it changes the game for horror because Sam Raimi has such a like unique vision of how to move a camera, how to shoot something, that everyone sees Evil Dead and they're like, well, that's it. That's how horror should be. Sam Raimi establishes himself as the kingpin of horror. Studios don't fucking care at all. Studios say, no, get the fuck out of here. We're busy making Friday the 13th Part 3.
It had been raining and the woods were cold and wet, but I found a dry spot under an old oak tree. I guess I fell asleep.
Much better use of everybody's time.
Sam takes a second. He's like, what is this? What is this? What is this shit? Evil Dead 2, you know? No one watched Crime Wave except me, but Evil Dead 2 comes out, blows Evil Dead out of the water. The most creative camera work ever put to screen ever. I'm gonna stick with that statement.
Okay, you're gonna live by that one.
I'm happy to live by that statement. That is... I mean, I'm thinking of like the shot where he's spinning and flying through the air. How do you shoot that?
That's pretty good.
You strap Bruce Campbell to a rig and you tell him, don't fucking complain. Just, we're gonna get the shot and you're gonna put up with it. And then you throw him into like dirty water.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that Bruce Campbell will do anything that Sam Raimi asks of him. And that's how the Evil Dead series has been so consistent.
He really is just like he just does it, like, he's a little dumb, you know? That's okay.
He's a clown for the masses.
Yeah, he's...
And clown is the most respectable profession.
Totally. He'll do anything for the bit.
Evil Dead 2, studios see it, they say, we still don't vibe with you, Sam Raimi. So Sam Raimi, he doesn't get the rights to make the superhero film he wants to make, so he makes up his own superhero, Darkman. Again, blows it out of the water.
So good.
Best superhero film ever made.
I love it.
I'm just gonna say sweeping statements about him.
With Liam Neeson, no less.
Early career Liam Neeson.
And Frances McDormand.
And Frances McDormand, because
she's amazing?
I get to say the story.
Uh-oh.
Because early days of Los Angeles, Sam Raimi is living with the Coen brothers. They all live together in their apartment. And Frances McDormand lives with them for a little bit. And I think Kathy Bates lives with them a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
Just like everyone you've ever loved in a film living together in a house.
Imagine.
I can only imagine it was like fucking disgusting. Like it was awful.
Yeah, nobody did the dishes.
Great people, they never take the recycling out. Darkman is an incredible film. The studios finally go, now hang on, Darkman, that was good. Make a film for us, Sam. Make a film. And Sam goes, I've got it. Medieval Dead. Oh, we don't like that. We don't like Medieval Dead. Call it Army of Darkness. and
Why?
and make it standalone. Of course, Sam Raimi disobeys. It's an Evil Dead sequel. It's Evil Dead 3 down to the opening intro sequence that recaps Evil Dead 2 for you.
Just takes scenes from Evil Dead 2 for you, yeah.
I think they reshot like the part where he cuts his hand off, something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
They reshot that because they weren't allowed to use footage from Evil Dead 2, even though they clearly use footage from Evil Dead 2 for other parts, but we don't ask questions.
It just happened, yeah.
So we're finally at Army of Darkness.
Yes.
Sam Raimi's tribute to the Three Stooges.
It really is. Yeah, Ash is, was it in Evil Dead 2, did they mention that he worked at at that retail spot?
I don't think they ever did. I think that was completely made up.
They threw that
for
in.
Army of Darkness.
Which I think is hilarious.
You got the ending at the S-Mart as well, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Because you watched the domestic cut, which is the cut released in the US. I watched the international cut, which is basically the director's cut. The ending is like completely different. We'll get to that. But there's a lot less to do with the S-Mart in the international cut. So, Army of Darkness is like directly after Evil Dead 2, when Ash gets sucked into a time portal and taken to medieval times.
Yes.
Taken to... Is it Britain? Is it medieval Britain?
It's very ambiguous. It's like...
It's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where you're not sure where you are, but everyone has a British accent.
I've just decided to switch our Friday schedule to Monday, which means that the test we take each Friday on what we learned during the week will now take place on Monday before we've learned it. But since the day is Tuesday, it doesn't matter in the slightest.
Right, we could be in like Italy for all we know. You know? I mean, granted, the king is called or Prince Arthur, and you know, there's the red guy who's like Scottish or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also like, it looks like Southern California. I don't know.
It looks like Southern California, probably because it was shot in Southern California.
Right. Exactly.
I think some scenes especially are shot at like Vasquez Rocks, which the infamous one is Star Trek, the Gorn episode, which I never saw. But also Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is shot at Vasquez Rocks. They have this like the big, you know, the big red California rocks. I feel like a conspiracy theorist talking to you right now.
What is it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
You know the big red rocks that are outside California.
Be careful you don't get sued for nearly $1 billion.
Don't worry, that's gonna come one day. That's I'm gonna be sued for harassment.
Just harassing me.
General harassment. It's kind of like a King Arthur story, but Ash Williams falls out of nowhere and interrupts the whole thing, which is the entire joke of the film.
Yeah, the jokes do tend to come down to check out this thing from modern times that you freaking idiots don't have. One thing they did have a lot of though was winches and like pulleys. I feel like Sam
did they not have that in medieval times?
They did, but I feel like Sam got like a really good like deal on winches, because there are a lot. Whenever there's a chance for them to like turn something or pull something, you know what's happening.
And winches are like cinematic, I guess. They might not be actually. I'm just saying that. But...
No, I mean that is very dramatic when they get to the hole.
The hole. The hole that sprays Kool-Aid.
That was I saw that coming too. Like I was like, I feel like a giant geyser of blood is about to spurt out of this hole. And it did.
But it's funny as well because the whole film is like cut down to be like a respectable R-rated cinema release.
Right.
But somehow they got to keep the hole. I just know every time we say the hole, I'm gonna cut to the hole. Heavenly God! Just just like spurting blood.
But yeah, they turned the winch to open that up, and the winches for the gates and all that. He just really has kind of a hard-on for early levers and motion
Winches
devices.
are great. They get so much done.
That's true. Yeah, you get a lot of work done for your effort.
And of course, the hole is full of monsters. I think what was originally supposed to be one monster, but ended up being two, because K and B effects are really good at making monsters. So Sam's like, put in another one. I love that monster. Put it in there. Put in more monsters.
There's like a battle royale down there. It's like once you think you've got one done, oh, here comes this like gross
New
wall
monster
swamp
from the
monster.
wall.
Yeah.
Give me some sugar, baby.
The whole film is like, it knows what it's supposed to be, it knows what every beat of the film is supposed to be, but because the protagonist is Ash Williams, then the whole thing is like flipped on its head, because at this point in time Ash Williams has gone from sort of lovable, sort of dumb jock to just full on like idiot at this point.
Huge himbo energy. But also just great one-liners. Everything he says, like, I don't think he ever has anything more than one line in a scene, you know?
And of course every line is iconic, so...
Yes. You're going down. I think I'm going up.
I'm going up.
But I think of like every point where a scene starts to happen and you're like, I know this scene. Oh, he's arguing with the woman. They're gonna have a bit of like a rocky relationship, and then by the end they're gonna like make up.
Yeah.
But
Nope.
The whole scene is just like him like being a dickhead.
Terrible.
And the woman's
horrible
like,
person.
I'm gonna leave.
I'm leaving.
I'm gonna fucking get out of here.
Yeah, fuck you.
And then he's suddenly like, give me some sugar, baby.
Yeah, suddenly he's interested in her. Like, the whole time he is giving no signs that he's, like, interested in her in that moment. But the second she starts to walk out, he just runs up to her, grabs her. Give me some sugar, baby.
Part of the whole joke of the film is that, what is Ash Williams doing here?
Exactly.
He's just, like, spouting, like, actual, like, written movie lines. The film is aware it's a film.
Totally.
And it's sort of the best way to make a meta film. I think of, like, Deadpool, where it's a meta film. Deadpool looks at the camera and he's like, oh, something's happening. Haha, how quirky, how film-like. And you, the whole time you're just like, shut up, asshole. But Army of Darkness, it's aware it's a film, and it's playing on the fact that it's a film, but it's not in your face about it. It's never at any point, like, annoying about it.
Totally.
It's kind of annoying during the windmill scene. Is it a windmill?
That is a windmill, yes.
That's another difference between the version,
Yep.
That's another difference between, like, the domestic version and the international version, is the windmill scene in the domestic version is, like, truncated. It's a lot less annoying, but in the international version, it goes on for ages. It's so long.
All the the mini Bruces.
Which, it's a fun idea, it just goes on way too long. It's just like, I get it, it's cute. Yeah, they're running around. They're doing cheeky things. But I was watching Army of Darkness a minute ago, and I'd rather go back to watching that. Can we get out of this windmill?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't that bad in the domestic
They, like,
cut.
drop a bucket on his head at some point in the international cut. They're doing, like, all these goofy extended sequences.
They're doing cocaine.
But that leads into the evil Ash, who's sort of the villain of the film.
For a second.
And then nothing is mentioned about him, and then he comes back at the end. That's fun. They kind of do evil Ash in, like, Evil Dead 2 a little bit.
Right.
He's sort of there, he's in the mirror, but this is like the culmination of evil Ash. is this like skeleton man that commands this army of like Ray Harryhausen skeletons that'll walk around Jason of the Argonaut style. Jason and the Argonaut style.
Yeah.
Fuck that up.
All of the different, like, there are probably like 10 different ways they do skeletons in this film. You know, you have like stop motion, you have live actors, you have all different, like rotoscoping, I think even. Is that true? Am I lying?
Yeah, some puppets. I always think of the one puppet when the two skeletons ride up on horseback to deliver some news to Evil Ash, and one of the skeleton puppets on the horse is like halfway falling off. It's fucking shaking around so much.
One of them is like a real person, like a rider in a skeleton, and the other one is just like a Spirit of Halloween lawn skeleton that they tacked on. Yeah, that's it's so
it's
funny.
just like falling off the horse. The whole film kind of like builds up to this ending. You've got the intro, which sets everything up. You've got the part where
Gotta get the Necronomicon.
Ash spends some time. They set up the Necronomicon in the town, and it's the whole point is Ash doesn't belong here. He's not set up to be here. And then he goes off into the woods on his own and finds the 3 Necronomicons, which is the new gimmick for the film, is that there are now 3, and one of them, like, sucks you off real good. I phrased that wrong. One of them, like, makes your face longer through suction power. I'm not getting any better.
Let's just go with it.
It's like a vacuum cleaner,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And then one of them flies. Is like a bat, kind of.
Like an annoying bat, yeah.
And then you've got the actual Necronomicon. The other 2 are kind of just jokes. That's all they have to offer. They should have had the flying one come back for like the finale and maybe like attack Ash a little bit, and Ash is like, this asshole.
You should get on Raimi's writing team.
I could be there. Me and Ivan Raimi. Ivan Raimi, who's like a doctor or something. He's not even a writer, but he'll just turn up and like write a couple of scenes, write a couple of lines, and go back to like doing open heart surgery. Maybe that's why Sam Raimi has so many like hospital scenes in his films, because he has Darkman, which the Darkman scene has like John Landis as one of the doctors for some reason. And then Spider-Man 2, which also has John Landis as one of the doctors for some reason. We don't talk about John Landis anymore.
So he gets the Necronomicon, but he says the special words wrong, which summons the army of darkness.
Doesn't remember them.
Oh no. And now
there are skeletons here now.
And now he's got to fix his problem, even though he doesn't want to, because he's like an asshole.
Well, that's sort of the point in the ending, is that he gets over it. And he becomes a better person. That's Ash's arc. It's kind of shocking that 3 films in, he's still having character arcs, but
he's still growing as a person.
You get to film 3 in a series, and your main character's arc is that he finally learns how to not be a dick. That's kind of funny.
It took like 4 hours of film.
He finally learns that it's wrong to be rude all the time.
Huh.
Sometimes you have to stand up for the little man. It ends in this huge, like, climactic fight.
Very beautiful. All around, the effects, everything.
You've got this, like... another thing that was, like, cut down was just before the fight. All the training montage. The infamous training montage where he teaches them, like, one move, which is swing the stick 3 times.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I love that.
That's how you do spear fighting.
I love that this is like a trained army of knights. This like before Ash came, they were winning fights. They were like kidnapping the Red Army. They were doing well.
They're knights.
And then as soon as Ash turns up, they have to be trained how to swing a stick a little bit.
Fucking guys.
But you've got the like training montage, the gag where he gets the books out of his trunk. He's got Chemistry 101 and Steam Plant Operation. What's he doing with those books? Ash doesn't know how to. I'm surprised Ash knows how to read, actually, let alone comprehend what's in those books.
Yeah, like, what is he doing with a chemistry book? No way he's learning anything.
I love that Chemistry 101 apparently teaches you how to make gunpowder.
I don't think you should be teaching that to people just learning chemistry, truthfully. But hey.
The people who've just started chemistry, you're like, let's start on gunpowder. It's the most interesting chemical we have, I guess. And then the huge fight that is between two people. Evil Ash and Ash.
And regular, also kind of evil Ash. They kind of are, yeah. There's actually like really tight fight choreography in this, you know?
Yeah.
I like
they have fun with it.
Do a little sword play.
Sword fights notoriously hard to choreographize, so...
Yeah.
And I love the part where... I feel like I'm just listing parts I love. But, as soon as Evil Ash kind of just turns into a skeleton, his voice, like, suddenly changes. It's no longer Bruce Campbell, it's suddenly Sam Raimi is voicing him. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill you, bud.
And now you're going to die.
We get the Oldsmobile, like, for a lot of the film. It's actually maybe the Oldsmobile's most important role.
Yeah, they actually use it. They turn it into like a Takeshi's Castle, like a battle stallion, you know?
It's got a giant fan on the front of it that's just like throwing skeleton puppets around.
Yeah, they had fun with that one.
I can't imagine that was like safe. I don't know how they got away with that one.
You know, the 90s.
The 90s. You do anything. And then the big ending, which is what we've been building to.
Have we?
Because we watched different endings.
Oh, right. Yeah, what's your ending?
Well, we should start with your ending, actually, because that's the ending that most people have seen, because that's the, like, the domestic theatrical cut.
Right, so he goes back, he defeats Evil Ash, he saves the medieval guys, and then they send him back using the Necronomicon, and he's back working at S-Mart.
Is S-Mart real? Like, I'm sorry to ask such a British question, but...
No, it's kind of a play on, like, Kmart, which is a thing.
Yeah, I know Kmart.
Yeah, it's sort of a joke.
I've seen Bowling for Columbine. I know of Kmart.
So he gets sent back, and it's funny that after all that, he's just going back to work at S-Mart. But he's attacked by an evil witch woman while he's there, which I feel like is kind of setting up for a sequel.
And that sets up for the series Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Oh.
Because at the beginning of that series, Ash is still working in S-Mart. And of course, he's like 40-year-old Bruce Campbell at this point.
Still working there.
But the international version, which I watched because I'm international, so he gets a potion that lets him sleep for, I think it's like 100 years per drop of potion.
The book tells us that each drop allows a man to sleep for a century.
And he hides with the Oldsmobile in a cave, and he's supposed to drink 7 drops of potion to get back to the modern age.
Makes sense.
But he accidentally drinks 8 drops of potion.
Oh, no.
And Ash wakes up in this, like, post-apocalyptic world where for some reason Big Ben is suddenly here. And like a bunch of other like world landmarks have been destroyed in the same spot. And now Ash is trapped in the future post-apocalypse, which is supposed to be a lead-in for maybe like an Evil Dead 4, where Ash is in the post-apocalypse. That never happened though. What happened after Army of Darkness was Sam Raimi made his western, the Quick and the Dead.
And then Sam Raimi made his baseball movie.
Well, that was, if I'm remembering correctly, it's like The Quick and the Dead, and then A Simple Plan, and then the baseball movie, which isn't very good, but it's got some very good baseball scenes. And then I think he made Spider-Man? I might be missing something, some very like forgettable movie maybe, but...
Right. He may or may not have made Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's like new crowning achievement. I don't know if like... I don't know what your opinion is on Spider-Man. I assume you like it. Everyone likes Spider-Man.
I like Sam Raimi's Spider-Mans.
But it's kind of like Spider-Man was so iconic that it sort of took over Evil Dead as Sam Raimi's iconic trilogy.
Definitely.
Which is tragic for us horror fans. I mean, Spider-Man's great. I love Spider-Man, except Spider-Man 3.
Boo. I love Spider-Man 3.
It's a shame that we lost Evil Dead to a fucking comic book film. Get real.
I've been sitting on something that I think is funny.
Oh yeah?
Because I'm a juvenile delinquent. Marcus Gilbert, who plays Prince Arthur in this, also starred in a film called Riders. And I just want to say that the blurb for it, or like the blurb on the poster reads, "Sex and horses. Who could ask for more?"
Who could ask for more?
I mean, you could ask for a skeleton on that horse, and then you'd have Army of Darkness.
He also starred in a film called Biggles.
Biggles.
We don't talk about Biggles. Who makes a film called Biggles?
John Hugh. That's who.
That's funny as well because like John Hugh, but not John Hughes.
Not John Hughes.
John Hugh.
John Hugh.
So that's Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness.
Explained by two drunk guys. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have seen Army of Darkness before me, so I'm not in a position to recommend it. But if you haven't seen Army of Darkness, definitely watch Army of Darkness. It's a classic for a reason.
If you don't watch Army of Darkness, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to, but I think you should.
That's not the message. The message is watch Army of Darkness because Sam Raimi is one of the
I don't like you
greatest
pushing
horror directors.
I don't like you pushing your corporate agenda on me, saying what I can and can't say.
I'm like J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man.
Alright, well, what time is it? Jesus Christ, it's 3 in the morning.
It is 3 in the morning. It's 3:30 in the morning.
Oh my god, we've been staying up all night talking about movies. Like a bunch of fools.
You know, like I heard the door knock like 40 times while we were talking. I think that was trick-or-treaters and we just ignored them.
Well, do you have candy?
I ate it all.
Oh.
That's why fair. I'm so fat. We've been talking about movies for ages. Like it's our job to talk about movies.
Yeah. Kind of like some sort of like pair of people who review movies.
Like what if it was like two people who their job is to review movies, not for the same newspaper, but for different newspapers, and they like came together to like review movies on a show together. Right.
Okay. I'm feeling it.
And
so like,
it's like,
what am I?
It's like you remind me of like someone called like Bert, but you're like an electronic version of Bert.
Ah. So E-Bert?
Yeah, like an e-girl, like E-Bert.
Yeah, E-Bert. Okay, cool.
And I'm like, what if I was your sister, but I was into movies where people kill each other?
Right, like horror movies.
Yeah, like
Sister kill. Sis.
Like a sis kill.
Sis kill. Siskel.
So we're like an E-Bert and sis kill.
Yeah,
or
at the movie
would
theater.
it sound better the other way around? And we're at the movies together. We're like a Siskill and Ebert. And at the movies.
We're like a...
Siskill and Ebert at the movies.
At the movies.
And we're like a Siskill and you're an Ebert. And we're at the movies.
It's like we're Red Letter Media.